Hi there, Warriors, and welcome back to the Uruguayan Heroes YouTube channel. And it's a special day because Uruguay face Argentina in La Bombonera, a match with Uruguay being in great form after beating Brazil, but Argentina obviously being full of confidence after having lifted the World Cup less than a year ago. So it's a huge clash with Bielsa, an Argentinian, uh, leading Uruguay against Argentina. It's a huge game where Uruguay will be tested to the maximum, and where we can also see how Bielsa is the progressing this team into how he likes it to be. Today joining me is Alessandro. Alessandro, thank you for being here once again from I think your school campus as well, right?
I am in my school library. I booked out
Yeah.
a study room from 5 to 7 just for the live stream. I love it. And I'm probably going to watch the game on campus too. And I apologize ahead of time to whoever's around me during the game because I watched the Brazil game on campus. And then when Darwin scored, I got up and everyone was just sort of looking at me like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? So it's totally worth it.
And also a new face here, but he's not an unfamiliar face when it comes to content around Uruguayan football. Is Daniel? Daniel, thank you, man. Appreciate you for being here. I mean, we got to know each other via Twitter basically, and since or after the last international break, we got into contact and thought it may be a good idea to do something together surrounding this international break. So yeah, appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys having me, and like you said, I love creating content and specifically around Uruguay because that's I was born in the United States, but both my parents were born in Uruguay, but I'm nationalized Uruguayan. Like I tell everybody on every podcast, I drink mate every single day. I'm more Uruguayan than American. If I had the chance, or if Uruguay played USA in the World Cup final, I go for Uruguay 100 times out of 100. So that goes to show you where my affiliations stand. So I'm glad to be here. And Alessandro, I was telling you guys earlier, I was at El Centenario for the game against Brazil. So I can imagine how you were on campus. You can imagine how I was seeing that game inside the stadium. Maybe my family back in Miami heard me scream the two goals, but so
That's
unbelievable, man.
legendary.
But again, it's a pleasure to join you guys.
Oh, good. No, yeah. I mean, this must have been a special night at the Centenario for the Brazil game. Obviously, I think 22 years it was. Uruguay didn't beat Brazil, so yeah. Um, yeah. So besides two guys being here, also thank you for everyone back home or back at school, whatever you're watching from, to joining this stream. Facundo Gonzalez, Vamos Uruguay, and another comment. I have an exam an hour before the game. I can't stop thinking about it. I should be concentrated on the test, but I can't. No, I can imagine that. Yeah, that's a really hard one. Obviously, when you're living in the US or Canada, wherever, that's always a tough one for me. I mean, late at night it is, but it's another challenge. But for you guys, it's mixing with school and with work, which is always a pain, I guess. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I mean, let's get into the game. So Uruguay are second in the table on 7 points, facing Brazil or Argentina on 12 points, who've won all their games. Yeah, I mean, Argentina is pretty much what Brazil have been for the last couple of qualification cycles, really untouchable. I mean, Brazil, I think they went so many games unbeaten before Uruguay beat them in the qualifiers last time around. And Argentina have been, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but they have been unbeaten in the qualifiers for quite a while now. And apart from that Saudi Arabia game in the World Cup, I think they've been unbeaten for like 50, 60 games. So yeah, it's gonna be a real tough one. And we're not here expecting Uruguay to go out there and smash Argentina. That would be naive, obviously, although the confidence is high after the Brazil game. But what are your realistic expectations of this game? What do you expect to see tonight? Let's start with Daniel.
So, I mean, I know you mentioned all those stats about Argentina and how they've been unbeaten in so many games, or except for the Saudi Arabia game and all that. And like you said, they started off really hot in the qualifiers, but also you got to take a look at who they played, right? Argentina's played at home against a really good Ecuador team who played them very strong, and Argentina just beat them 1-0. Argentina got an impressive win over, in Bolivia in the altitude, but then they played Paraguay, who hasn't been that well at home, and they only won 1-0. And then they beat a Peru team who today lost to Bolivia 2-0. So it's not like they're playing challenging teams. I think Uruguay is the first real test for this new cycle of Argentina, and I think Uruguay is up to the test. I saw a stat. I think it was the last time that Uruguay tied Argentina in La Bombonera. It was 1956. And I've been ragging on all my Argentinian friends, man, since we beat Brazil last month. I said this Uruguay is about breaking streaks, and they broke one last month, ending that streak with Brazil. And I think today they're going to end the streak again.
Yeah, that's one way. That's one way to put it. I mean, Argentinian fans love to talk about how history repeats itself, 1986, this and that. Well, the first team to sort of burst their bubble after 1986 was Uruguay. So, I mean, why not have it be again? My line of sight, I much would prefer. I think this game's going to end in a 1-1 tie, in my opinion, and I'm okay with that because I want that victory to come in the Copa America. I want it to be that much sweeter in the United States next year. I want to be live in that stadium. I want to see all the headlines being written how Uruguay knocked out Argentina and Messi's tournament is basically. Anyways, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. The line of sight for this game tonight, I think Uruguay is going to come out. They're going to surprise Argentina because they're going to see a version of this team that they haven't seen before. Brazil was also surprised in October as well. I think Uruguay will actually come out on the front foot in the first 20 minutes. High energy, high intensity. Argentina will then grow into the game. I think their experience will then show after half an hour, 40 minutes, and then we'll be the ones on the back foot. So it really depends in the first 20, 25 how much we take advantage of that sort of, spring or surprise that we're going to give them. I do expect the second half to be slower as, tactical adjustments be made, and then there'll be a certain number 9 who will probably make a 10, 15-minute cameo towards the end of the game, and that obviously can make a difference as well. But my prediction for today is a 1-1 draw.
Okay. I mean, some great points, certainly, when you look back at history. I mean, like you mentioned, Uruguay were the ones that beat Argentina in 1987 in the Copa and eventually won the Copa as well. After, obviously, Maradona brought them the World Cup in 1986. So, yeah, let's hope it's history repeating itself. But I think I'm going to join with you, Alessandro, that I think it's going to be a draw. And with Uruguay showing glimpses of promise and good play and obviously high intensity, but also with being put on the back foot. Because although I agree with you, Daniel, that the games they've played so far are not the most challenging, I still think there's so much to this Argentina side which hasn't been there before in the last couple of years. Because, I mean, for example, the final, I mean, it was a mad final, obviously, in Qatar. But the way, for me, they played in this, certainly the first 60, 70 minutes was absolutely brilliant. The character they had to play, the intensity they had to play. And obviously, eventually, some of their flaws came back to bite them, when Mbappe scored these goals and where they were cut out at the back. So there are still these areas that Uruguay can also exploit with for example, Darwin, who's going to lead the line, obviously. So therefore, there is reason to be hopeful. So yeah, I'm going to join with you, Alessandro, for a draw. And regarding the team, I think that's the beautiful thing for me as an outsider coming into Uruguay football, is that the team news is always kind of leaked, 2 days before, 2 days in advance. And it seems that the team is going to be pretty much unchanged, except from some forced changes. For example, the possibility of Josema Jimenez going out. Obviously, he wasn't there last time, but okay. But Josema probably not being in there, and Viña left back, Oliveira in the center back with Cáceres and Araujo to the right. I would like to ask you, Araujo being out on the right back position, with Josema and Cáceres being in the middle. I mean, I want Araujo in the middle, but I can get it. But with Josema being out, and then having Oliveira possibly with Cáceres in the middle, and then Araujo still out wide, does it make sense for you? For me, it doesn't. For me, if Josema is out, I want to bring back Araujo to the middle, because I understand that we don't have a suitable right back on the highest level. But for me, still Araujo is still someone who needs to be back in the middle if Josema isn't even there. I'm not sure how you're looking at that.
You want to go, Alessandro?
No, go ahead.
I mean, I can tell it to you like this. The main reason why we're asking us this, why we're asking ourselves this question is because Nandes is, got injured a couple weeks ago. If Nandes wouldn't have got injured, the starting four, in the back would have been Nandes, Araujo, Cáceres, or Jimenez, one of the two. Now Jimenez, they're reporting he's injured, and Olivera. But unfortunately, Nandes got injured. So what happens? Bielsa is a type of coach where he likes players who play in the back to be extremely technical. And so he might not feel comfortable with Guillermo Varela stepping into that right back. And I know I've seen some tweets here and there, amongst the community, why not call Giovanni Gonzalez or, somebody else? But look, I think Bielsa is and I've said it over and over on social media, he's the type of coach that has a certain system that demands certain physical abilities and certain technical abilities from the players. And look, that's just how he is, and he's gonna play his guys. You've seen it when he's played, other guys like Araujo. Araujo was nobody until he started calling him up. I'm talking about Maxi Araujo, right? And you've seen that he's given players like, Felipe Carvalho, which historically wouldn't have gotten called up. And so he's given these players who he feels like have the right technical ability to play. And so, look, I support Bielsa 100%. I've been on board the Bielsa Loneta, like they call it in Argentina, since the beginning. And until he proves me wrong, I'm gonna praise him, all the way, Bielsa.
I'm in the same boat. I mean, it makes sense. Araujo in Barcelona, he plays that position, and it's already a high technical, high ball retention, moving team. So it makes sense to shift them out like that. And especially, you nailed it on the head. The players fit the system, not the other way around. Really, you're looking for what type of puzzle pieces are going to fit his tactical setup or formation. So I don't really get the complaints online, because this is what we signed up for with Bielsa as coach. This is what you're going to get. You have to understand the nature, the essence of him as a coach to understand these decisions. These two things aren't separate, but yeah, Araujo, of course, it would have been beautiful to have Nandes there. This is the type of game Nandes is born for. I just, the way he played against Brazil, every tackle just had my blood going. I loved it. But Araujo can do just as good as even a better job potentially on that right hand side. Argentina are dangerous on that side as well, right? Alvarez likes to drift out to that side. Di Maria is on that side as well. So this is gonna, especially that Di Maria matchup as well. I especially now that he's older in age, I very much trust Araujo to handle him or put him. I hope so. Now I say that Di Maria will cut in and score a long shot. Now that I said that, but we never know. But yeah, no, the back line, this Josema thing, I just found out. I've been at work and school all day, so I assume it is because of injury, not a tactical decision.
Correct. Yeah,
okay,
I mean,
so
it is. I think it's due to some maybe muscle injury or something like that. So I don't think it's serious. But I mean, like we've been talking about, right? Bielsa likes his players to be at their optimal, potential to play. And if you're not going to be able to give him 150%, he's shown that he's not going to call you, or play you. So
yeah,
that's
100%.
It is what it is.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Facundo, in answer to your question, I think we kind of covered it. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be Matias Vinha on the left back position, Matias Oliveira with Sebastian Cáceres in the middle, and Araujo out on the right. That's, I mean, I'm not for sure, but yeah, in the next 60 minutes for sure we're gonna find out, because it's I mean, let's have a look. It's less than 2 hours until kickoff, which it's getting really close now. But yeah, we will find out. Okay, Messi versus Suarez needs to happen. Yeah, I mean, probably going to see Suarez and Messi on the pitch together. That will be exciting. But obviously, I mean, I think Alessandro and myself have talked about this before. But Suarez being there for me is good. But we have never argued for the point that Suarez needs to start or something like this. It's always been the case that we said, if you look at the current options on the number 9 positions, there's still not a better natural goal scorer than Suarez. And when you look at a backup option for Darwin, and you look at the current players and how they're performing in Europe, wherever, that makes no sense to call up Maxi Gomez ahead of Suarez, for example. So that's why it's good for him to be there, in my opinion. And yeah, maybe he can have an impact on the bench. But for me, I'm not counting in on him big time in this game. I'm really looking forward to the Bolivia game, where I think he can play a more prominent role. And also because it's probably going to be his last game at the Centenario. Because after this, in the March I think in March. Do we have the FIFA date in March? No,
Yeah,
not
there's
not
friendlies.
qualifiers.
No,
Friendlies, right?
friendlies.
Yeah.
The European friendlies.
Yeah, European friendlies, right? And then after that, it's maybe one send-off game in the Centenario, but we're not sure as well. And then to the Copa. So it could be that this is the last game he is going to play at the Centenario. So that's probably more special. Yeah.
I was doing so well with the Suarez thing. I was holding off, and I had all the justification, and everything made sense tactically why he wasn't in the squad and for Bielsa. And then he had to go and score a hat trick against Botafogo, and I said, "Oh my god!" And I saw the highlights, and I said, "Okay, the bench. He can be on the bench." And then I saw the social media release of him back in the Complejo and him in the Celeste and all this stuff, and then it's like the one comes back into your house again, and you're just like, oh, this feels so right, and so comfortable. But yeah, no, the days are numbered, and you can very much tell when you see his face in the interviews and the interactions and pictures. He's just enjoying every second.
Yeah,
I agree, man. I agree. Let me tell you, I got chills, goosebumps when I saw those pictures, come up on Twitter on the Alpha account. I got goosebumps when I saw Lucho and his face there smiling. I retweeted it. Like, to me, like when I see something light blue, I think of Luis Suarez. That's just how I'm wired. Like, he's my favorite player of all time. I've never seen him play, and I know, they said Messi versus Suarez, but guys, I'm gonna get to see Messi and Suarez play together because they're both coming to. Well, Messi's already at Inter Miami. I don't know if you guys know, but Suarez is rumored to come to Inter Miami. So I've never been able to see him play live. How about I get to maybe see them play together for my first time ever seeing him play live? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, that's gonna be crazy. I mean, I think I was talking with someone else on Twitter. The only thing is that the price is gonna be crazy. The prices for this game is gonna be crazy, but it's gonna be amazing to see. I think I'm not sure what his name is, but one of the most reliable journalists when it comes to South American, North American transfers, he's already confirmed it. So I think it's.
You're talking about Merlo. Cesar Luis Merlo.
Yeah.
Well, Martino the other day, the way he talked about it was like it's basically done.
I can tell you guys. I mean, I do the podcast, and I have, I'm very close to the Inter Miami folks and stuff, and so I have my contacts. My contacts have told me it's been done since June. If Suarez had his wish, he would have been here in June. Unfortunately, Gremio didn't let him go. But look, Gremio didn't let him go, and they're second in El Brasileirao. They're challenging for the trophy. Bro, can I ask you guys, how would you guys feel about that if Suarez were to lead Gremio, a team who was in second division last year, to the championship of Brazil this year, after he did that with Atleti? How crazy would that be at 37 years old?
Most players would have just forgot it. Like, as soon as they had that agreement made with Inter Miami in June, they would have just phoned it in. But Suarez is he's a different breed. He's not of normal human nature. Like, this guy's a freak. He had to go out competing till the last minute.
Yeah,
absolutely.
No, and this only thing about that Brasileiro title race, which is crazy, by the way, is that when they beat Botafogo away from home, which Suarez, I mean, with a classic performance, and then they lost at home against Corinthians, which was an awful game. And I mean, I think I watch Grêmio games a lot because I love Suarez. I watch basically anything. If he plays in the backyard with his sons, I'm gonna watch. So I watch that game, and when you watch that game, you really see how amazing a job Suarez has been doing by elevating them to these heights, because it's not a great team, certainly not compared to Palmeiras, Flamengo. It's really poor on quality, relatively speaking. So yeah, and the thing is as well, I mean, we talk about his knee and the state of his knee for a couple of years now. He's gonna surpass 50 games this year, at Grêmio. So I mean, I've been doing this sometimes as well, but we also don't have to exaggerate how bad his physical condition is. Because although he's been playing with injections a lot of the time, he still is playing 50+ games at 36 years of age, turning 37 in a couple of months. So that's quite something. Yeah.
I have trouble playing one time a week.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's incredible, and he's doing that. And also, I think assist leader. He's, I think, third top goal scorer, and now he's in good form, by the way, because before, when he was doing it the state championship and also coming up with a goal and assist, I didn't like sometimes when you read Uruguayan media, Uruguayan Twitter accounts really glorifying what he's doing, because he was doing okay, but was not that great. We have to be realistic as well. It wasn't amazing in the Suarez standards, but it was what he's been doing now for the past 2 months. I think that's big. That's great, and that's why we have him back in the national team, because he's now there on merit for me. So yeah. Okay, Facundo with another comment. Thank you, Facundo, and other people in the chat coming up with comments. And if you're just watching, appreciate it as well. You can drop a like on the video and subscribe. You can also subscribe to This Is Football podcast from Daniel, and you can follow all of us on Twitter. I've put the links down in the video description. And yeah, I would advise you to do that, because the big game is coming up. So always some good, or hopefully good, content coming up from the three of us. Okay, Facundo says Torreira needs to be in the national team. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, and I think you two have touched on that, with the state of affairs, with how things are now, there's not much use of talking about decisions, players being there or not being there, because we are behind Bielsa, and we are defending what he's doing, and we are behind him basically. But I did a tweet a couple of days ago with criticizing some of his decisions, and what you get a lot also is that people, and I'm not talking about you guys, by the way, but people from the outside who have an affinity with Bielsa, whether they're Leeds United fans, whether they've followed his whole career, he's a saint, he's a god in their eyes, and they can do nothing wrong. And so far, he's not done a lot wrong for Uruguay, but we still should be able to call out when we believe some players should be there and should not be there. Torreira and Salazar, for example, are two players I would have loved to have seen to be included in the squad, instead of, for example, Carvalho, or instead of Kike Oliveira, who I think we can do without. But okay. But I understand, Facundo, why you believe this. I mean, what are your opinions about this? For me, it's a bit. Torreira is a personal favorite of mine, for me as well. So I have to admit to that. But he's a player. I don't see why he's not in the squad.
You want to know why I don't think he's in the squad? And I'll give you my opinion of why I think Carvalho gets called over him. And I think it's where they play. So if you take a look at, Carvalho plays at Grêmio with Suarez. He plays in El Brasileirão. They play a much tougher schedule. It's a different soccer than what Torreira plays over at Galatasaray in Turkey, where, it's not, I don't think it's as physical as it is in the Brazilian league. And so I think when Bielsa is looking for that five to be in the middle there, he's looking for somebody who, maybe that has a little bit different qualities. And I know Torreira is historically that scrappy player that we once saw, but I don't know, man. I think he might have lost a step, and over the last couple of years, we've seen him jump around, and he had a good year in Italy, but I just don't think he's at his best form right now. And really, I think Felipe Carvalho really just gives you a great option there in the middle, especially when Bielsa likes to change to a 5-3-2 or a 5-2-3. He can use him there as a double five with Valverde or with Ugarte or anybody else who's in there.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think the point you make about Brasileiro, the competition, and maybe him being a different profile to Torreira could make sense. But for me, Torreira, for sure, last season you could argue that, yeah, he's not where he was, but this season he's been really integral to Galatasaray, and certainly in this doubleheader against Bayern, he was really impressive. But yeah, I think it's also has to do a lot with the player profile, and he probably doesn't really fit into the player profile Bielsa has for this midfield position. But okay,
he's a Pac-Man. He's a destroyer. He's not a ball retention, quick moving player like Bentancur. So I can see why he's being left out. And you made a good point that the Turkish league is nowhere near in comparison in terms of physicality with the Brazilian league at all.
Yeah. Hey guys, unfortunately, I gotta head out because I got my son here and my wife is out of town. But if you guys don't mind, I want to give you a really quick prediction and a little bit of historical moment to add to it. So I think it's going to be a 2-1 Uruguay win, and I think Nico de la Cruz scores a game-winning goal in La Bombonera.
Okay,
that would be amazing.
But I appreciate you guys for having me on. Unfortunately, sorry to have to cut it short, but if you guys do it again on Tuesday, Uruguay Bolivia, let me know. I'm in.
Yeah, let's do this again. Honestly, even the little half an hour I really enjoyed.
Brilliant, man. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it a lot. And hopefully we can chat after or before the Bolivia game and be on the cloud 9 basically after Uruguay have beaten Argentina.
Oof, I hope I'm texting you guys tonight.
Okay.
All right, see you guys later.
All right, take care. Ciao.
Okay. Yeah. So another comment, Randy Sly, something like that. Barantil as well. I wish he was starting on the right tonight. Miguel Barantil is someone who's been doing really well. I mean, he's been the best Uruguayan striker at Boca, and that's quite. That's not a good look on Cavani, obviously, but he's been doing well. I mean, there are more players who are doing well who could be with a shout for the national team, but different to what it was a couple of years ago when we were all talking about people who should be there. The majority of players who should be there are there now. You know, the core is there. We should be satisfied about that. You're always gonna have these players that I believe should be there. That he believes he should be there. It's always gonna be arguments about that. But for the majority, we should be fine with what we have right now. And also, so I think that's what it boils down to. Yeah.
Well, before we used to look at it, if certain players performing at this level, national team, that's no longer the solitary prerequisite needed to be in the team now. Now you're looking at, okay, this player performing at a certain level, and does it fit the tactical characteristics that Bielsa is looking for? If those two things are met, or those two criteria are met, you're in the national team. So it's a different picture nowadays.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay. Some comments about Torreira. But let's see here. Okay.
He did play well against Bayern Munich. He did do very well physically. He bossed it physically. He was all over the place. And that, again, is not what Bielsa is looking for. So it's like trying to view the performance, but then view the performance within the context of what Bielsa wants. So it's tricky.
Yeah, I know it's tricky, but the thing is, I get what you're saying about him being a bit of a backbone, but he's obviously more than that. I mean,
yes, of course.
He's not like he's still someone who can distribute the play well and who has good qualities on the ball. But for me, like, I think it boils down to Bielsa just having a certain player profile, and he believes that Carvalho fits into this player profile better than Torreira. That's what I think it boils down to. So we can argue about it, but I think it doesn't. I mean, it's not going to change anything, obviously. But I understand why people are frustrated with that decision. But yeah, and you never know. You know, maybe in a couple of weeks or in like the March international break, he's going to be back in, like Coates was back in the preliminary squad. So it's not like there's not like it's time. It could be changed. You know, it's not like it's made in stone. It's this is how it is. It's not going to change. So we don't know.
That preliminary squad confused the hell out of me.
Yeah, for me as well. I mean,
Jonathan Rodriguez. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, that was. But the thing is, I don't like it. You know, they just announce the preliminary squad and then the definitive squad, like first 2 or 3 weeks in advance, then 1 week in advance. Just don't do the way we do it right now. I think it's unnecessary, you know, to be so covert. I think that's the right word.
It's like a birthday reveal, because like the players who show up at the complejo before the list is released, so you just have to keep an eye out who comes to the complejo.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it. And it's only Uruguay as well. I mean, that's some people commenting on this matter when I revealed or when I tweeted out the squad, you know, basically 2 days ago, and they said, why the hell is it taking so long? And I said, yeah, well, I mean, this is Uruguay basically. It's always been done like this. Even when Tavares was in charge, it was so late, you know, so ridiculously late. And for people, for example, coming or in England and a fan of the English national team, you know, born in England, following English football, or maybe someone who lives in my country who doesn't have an interest in South American football, they see this and they think, what the hell is this all about, you know? So I understand their not the frustration, but they're just a puzzlement of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the way it is, I guess. Okay, some comments about the Torreira and Carvalho matter, but I think we covered that, and we will see how that pans out. Happy to be here. Famo la Celeste, Sine. Thank you. And I'm happy that you're here. Hopefully you're enjoying the live stream. And please let us know your predictions on the game. Not only the score, but what kind of game you think it's going to be. I think I'm just going to check if there's any announcement on the lineup, but I don't think there is. No. Okay. Yes. Let's have a look. Okay, so yeah, there's gonna be some criticism here from Danny, I think. So yeah, let's have it. I mean, and Danny is someone who's really passionate about the national team and on Twitter as well, and he's probably going to be on there on live stream on Sunday. I think I'm trying to do a live stream on Sunday. I've not talked with you about this, but let's see how it's going to be. Maybe you're going to join, maybe Danny's going to join, but it's always good to have different perspectives on things. It's making for a nice conversation. So Bielsa has no criteria. His call-ups and player selection is a joke. Borbas, Barrena, I cannot pronounce that. Gaston Alvarez, Rodrigo Salazar, and Torreira should be there. It's fucking bullshit. Yeah, I mean, I understand your frustration, man, but for me, although I do have these frustrations as well, you have to have to look at the bigger picture right now a little bit as well. And Uruguay are in a much better situation than we have been a couple of years ago. And although these frustrations can still be there, these critiques, I think it should not be the main story, the headline. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I think Alessandro, you like Daniel. You are behind Bielsa, like I myself am as well, and you probably also have some things you do not agree with. But
I have some reservations. I mean, Kiko Oliveira in the squad. I said, okay, what's this about? But I haven't seen him, and I haven't seen how he's going to be used or what that's going to be about in practice before I can put my final sort of stamp of judgment on that. Initially, I disagree with it, but I don't know. And these players, Gaston Alvarez, Salazar, I agree on the surface level. There's an agreement and a understanding for the sentiment and frustration behind these players not making the national team. But then there's also part of me at the same time that Bielsa is so statistics orientated and so based off statistics and has such a emphasis on these little details. He's a detail orientated coach. And this has been testified towards by many coaches and people who've worked with him or played under him, that perhaps there's something in these players that we're not seeing, the stats list, the profile that's being generated on these players. Maybe there's something that we're also not seeing as well. I don't know, but Salazar, he just peaked form recently, but I think it's just too little of a time stretch. If he can take that form that he has right now in the last month and then sort of apply that to a few months, then yes, he's definitely within the shout for the national team. And Gaston Alvarez as well. I cannot say that I watch his games. I just go with what I hear on Twitter, unfortunately, because of time. And I've just heard good things. And I've heard that he's also a good ball retention player. So we'll see. We don't know. It's hard to tell what the long-term plan is in the future.
Yeah. Okay. What do we think about how Argentina is going to line up and play? Well, I'm gonna have to confess that I'm not really sure about that one. I can check now here what is being expected. I think Julian Alvarez is going to start. That's what I read anyway this morning. But other than that, it's not going to be anything drastically different to what they have been doing for the past years under Scaloni. Yeah, so it's going to be a good team. Obviously, a team that's well drilled, that know what they can expect from each other, which still is not the case. Which is not at the same extent for Uruguay, because obviously Bielsa has been there for less than a year. We have to realize this as well. Although the performance against Brazil was really good, we also saw some flaws in the game against Colombia, for example, when Uruguay made this switch mid-game and they looked like conceding basically every 20 seconds. So yeah, there's still a lot of things to be cut out in terms of mistakes.
It's experience as well. The inexperience in the Ecuador game to commit a silly foul, Ecuador get a free kick, Ecuador score. The inexperience in the Colombia game where you recognize you're on the back, but you're being exposed time and time again. Okay, who are the leaders on the field to say, okay, stop. Let's get some fouls. Let's cut the play. Let's slow this game down. Let's be rough. Just ride out. Because ultimately the game goes in waves. Each team's going to get their wave of sort of having the other team on the back foot. And Argentina have been through so much together as a team that right now they have that experience to ride out those waves, and they know what to do in moments of adversity. Biggest example, World Cup final. So if Argentina were to win tonight, I could see them winning just on that alone, right? Maybe they get a goal early. You never know. It's hard to tell, right? With Messi on the other team, the game can change on a dime. A free kick is basically a penalty, right? So maybe they get a free kick, Messi scores, and then all of a sudden you're in the position of chasing the game. Argentina know exactly how to see out a game with their experience. So the difference really is experience.
No, that's a good point for sure. Yeah. That's also why, by the way, if Uruguay end up losing this game, it's no catastrophe, obviously.
Not at all, not at all. Especially with the new qualifying format.
No, absolutely. I mean, this is the hardest game, along with the Brazil away. But obviously, looking at the current state of the two national teams, this one is harder at the moment. So yeah, and I think it's all about how we're gonna perform. You know, what kind of Uruguay we are going to see, and that's when you look at the Ecuador game. I think Uruguay lost that game, and yeah, some things. I mean, the performance left. Well, it wasn't perfect. You know, there were many improvements that could be made, but it was different to what we have seen, for example, in the latter stages of the Tabras era, away games where Uruguay will basically just gave up or like were so passive and really succumbed to any kind of pressure. So that's obviously what we want to see on the Bielsa and what we have been seeing so far. Kind of some character, some style, and some willingness to play and take on these opponents, even if it is at really difficult circumstances.
I think he said it best in a press conference somewhere. Implant a style, but in that style at its core is the identity of what makes Uruguay, which is rough, which is passionate, which is a lot of heart. And if those two things can blend and have some sort of cohesiveness among each other, and with the potential this team has in terms of young players, this team could go far.
But, yeah, I mean, and also that mix, by the way, has always been the successful formula in Uruguayan football throughout history. You know, when it came a little bit to the other side, it always went wrong. You know, when it came to like losing basically going a bit too much on being physical, being hard on
And there was a tendency there was, I think, a misconception under the Tavares era, especially in games I can think of off the top of my head. Away in Chile 2015 Copa America, where they just basically parked the bus for the entire game and they lost 1-0. That was the Cavani incident, red card incident. Away to, France in the World Cup 2018. Argentina when they played them in the last Copa America as well. Argentina when they played them basically away in any qualifiers, where they lost 3-0, where they lost 1-0 in 2018. These are games in which Uruguay approached it just the completely defensive. Yep. And Tavares would make these comments that would lead you to believe that this is the way Uruguay has to play against the odds like that. No. In 1924, 1920, 1930, 1950, Uruguay was the underdog. Maybe more so obviously in 1950, even in the 80s. But they were not the underdog. They didn't win those tournaments and games by parking the bus and just the complete defensive. No, they went out. And that was what made 1950 so amazing, was that they went out and they attacked Brazil. They put Brazil on the back foot. They sprung that surprise on them. But yeah, it's nice to see a return to that, is what I'm trying to say.
That's true. And I mean, I would even go one further, is that, I mean, when Uruguay did well in the 2011 Copa, for example, and the 2010 World Cup, there were reasons to be excited. You know, Uruguay did show a lot of character and face. But even in these games, you know, you only have to go back to the Ghana game and look at it purely rationally. That was absolutely shocking. You know, that game was shocking. It really was.
2010 or
2010? Yeah, 2010. Okay. Yeah. So obviously Uruguay eventually, I mean, the game, we all know what happens, you know. But some of these games, you can rewrite history every way you want it when you eventually win. You know, you can frame it really well when the outcome is positive for yourselves. So yeah, so that's, and hopefully, like you say on the Bielsa, we can find this mix between the essential qualities or essential characteristics of Uruguayan football throughout what have been the essential characteristics throughout history. That's the dream, obviously.
One of the biggest Achilles heels in the Tavares era was Uruguay, how they would react when they won up a goal. Always on the back foot. Korea 2010, they scored first 1-0. Back foot. Korea scores. Then Suarez with a moment of brilliance, 2-1. England in the World Cup, Uruguay's up 1-0. then the back foot, Rooney scores, and Suarez with a moment of brilliance. Oh, there's a theme here. With a moment of brilliance to come out. 2018, Portugal, 1-0 up, a goal. Then a Cavani moment of brilliance to bail yourself out. So that's the biggest thing here. And then for the first time in my life watching this national team, when I think it was the game against Chile in the Centenario, they scored, and then they went for the other one. And then even against Brazil, they knew that to win this game, you needed to score the second goal. And that alone is just a fundamental change in this team for the better.
No, I think that you're really spot on that regard. Yeah. Okay, Sinan says, I would love, and then goes to the comment, to beat the world champions in Buenos Aires, but we must be realistic. No, for sure. I mean, I think we are being realistic. We're not expecting Uruguay to beat. I mean, obviously, Danielle, this is a prediction based on also on hope, and also being a fan. I think when you ask him, I mean, he's not saying we are gonna win. No way. No matter what, we're gonna win. No, it's not. It's a hope, and also it's a belief based on what he's seen in the scenario when he was there a month ago. So I can understand where it's coming from. But it's not utopian to think Uruguay are gonna beat Argentina, because it's true that if you look at the last history, Uruguay in Argentina is a tough one. But when Uruguay have had occasions, certainly in big games, where Uruguay did win these games. There have been plenty of games where Uruguay didn't, but also that's true, obviously. But it's not like it's something impossible and we cannot do it. So
it's different than Brazil. There's precedent for this. Brazil has gone into games with Uruguay and they've won by 3 goals. With Argentina, when you look at the historical head-to-head, not so much the same case. When Argentina comes out on top, besides the 3-0 trouncing in 2012, I think 2012, when Lugano went off injured, and that the whole team fell apart after that. Really, these games are historically close games. I mean, it's the sibling rivalry in South America. Uruguay Argentina is the perfect sibling rivalry. They behave, there's courtesy with each other at the family reunion. But as soon as it's just them two one-on-one, it's all fighting. It's all who's better than the other.
No, that's true. I think, and the 2021 was 3-0, but the one you were referring to was for the 2014 cycle. Yeah, that was a bad one. That was really a bad one. Yeah, I mean, I think that was in the stretch of games where Uruguay also Colombia 4-0, right?
Colombia 4-0.
Yeah,
Bolivia 4-1.
Yeah,
Argentina 3-0. Ecuador 1-1 at home. Paraguay 1-1 at home.
Yeah.
Whoa.
No, that stress was horrific. I remember reading an article in the Guardian I think it's a Uruguayan journalist who did this, and she talked with Lugano as well in this article, and how Uruguay dealt with that. And it was really probably one of the first articles I read when I got an insight into the Uruguayan football, the national team, and the culture of this national team.
It probably was Tim Vickery.
I think I'm gonna look it up now. It could be as well, but I think she's a journalist. Annalise, I'm not sure what her name is, but I'm gonna look it up now. But it was really something else. No, but anyway, Uruguay have always had mostly had these kind of spells in the qualifiers. Luckily for us now, even if we have them, it's probably not gonna cost us because of the new format. But yeah, I hope it's not gonna. Let's have a look. I think it's here now. I can't find it. By the way, it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna look it up now because it's not really something. For this environment, it's not something that we should do. Okay, Ajay says, I said too earlier, but with Josema rumors of being out, it's hard. Afraid the left side might be exposed, considering Araujo will play right back too. Yeah. No, I think Josema being out is a big one, because when you play with Viña and Oliveira on the left side, it's not an easy one, Viña, I don't think he should be there anyway at the national team, never mind start. And Oliveira being put into center back, he's a left back if I ever seen one. I know he can play there, and he has played there, for example, in his youth career. But it's not ideal, far from it. So yeah,
It's awkward. Don't you think it's a kind of you see Oliveira in your head, you have the image of how he plays. It's awkward.
No, that's the thing. He doesn't have the concentration as well for a center back for me, which is a big thing, obviously. So yeah, it's a hard one, and obviously, I mean, Vecino is injured, so he cannot fill in at center back, which obviously would be a dream of mine. So yeah, so it's gonna be a tough one. But I think we have to wait and see. I mean, Cáceres, for example, Sebastian Cáceres, the way and I know this Brazil wasn't a great Brazil, but the way he handled his opponents and with the way he played against Brazil was really impressive, you know. So yeah, perhaps someone like Oliveira can rise to the occasion as well. We never know. Yeah. Okay. I back Bielsa, but I don't like Bielsa player selection. I'm just frustrated because this squad can be so much better. Yeah, I know this is coming from a good place. You know, you want Uruguay to be the best it possibly can be. So I absolutely can understand that for sure. Yeah, and Facundo adds, I also do feel like we can never 100% agree on a call up. No, we can't. But we should not. It shouldn't be like that either. I mean, we don't want it to be like that. It's not nice. Not fun.
Where's the? Yeah, I was gonna say, where's the fun in that? We want to not agree with each other. Then why the hell do we have Twitter?
No, absolutely. I mean, otherwise these streams would have no use as well. So yeah. Okay. Apparently, Josema isn't injured. He's just not playing because of Bielsa's decision. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the case. If that's the case, it's well. It's Bielsa-like, you know.
It's almost like Bielsa said, I got too comfortable with the Suarez call-up. Yeah. What can I do that could just play with fire a little bit? Oh, I know. I'll take out Jimenez and I'll put Oliveira center back. Wow, that's I'm going to look at Uruguay and I'm going to think, Josema and Suarez on the bench. What is this? What alternate reality is this? But yeah, here we are.
I mean, obviously we don't know if that's true, but yeah. The thing is the fact that once this rumor is coming out that Josema's injured and we basically all accept it to be the truth is what's speaking volumes of how bad the situation with Josema is, you know. And I think a couple of years ago I had this hope that maybe his injury situation would evolve, his physical state would evolve, but for example, like it did with Robben. I think Robben was such an injury-prone player, but towards the back end of his career, certainly for Bayern, he eventually had I think it diminished a little bit, this problem. With Josema, it doesn't seem to be the case, which I think Danny, you also said this on Twitter to me a couple of, I think like a half an hour ago, is that this is one of the reasons why he is not being considered as one of the top center backs in world football.
Yes.
While basically on capability, he probably is one of the best center backs in world football. But yeah, when you cannot get it, when you're playing 20 games a season, basically, you cannot be regarded into this to that category. So yeah, it's hard. Okay, Ajay says, I need Pelistri to perform well today. That excuse of lack of club minute doesn't work anymore. We've been saying that since last year. If you start, you need to perform.
Exactly. It's not just that. When I watched the Colombia game, when I watched the last game, Pelistri would find themselves in positions where you expect a player who's not even starting on Manchester United. You expect a player who plays and trains on Manchester United, not just starting, to at least do better, a better decision-making in the final third, more decisiveness. And I don't see that with Pelistri, which is why on Twitter I put up my preferred lineup would have actually been to start Canobio. I wouldn't be surprised if Pelistri is the first substitute in today's game, mark my words. But we'll see. But start Canobio, take this thing out of Argentina a little bit, have that defensive option a bit, but Pelistri starting, and you might as well. I mean, like I said, these qualifying games aren't do or die as they used to be. So if these are opportunities to sort of put him through the fire, to maybe nurture him a little bit more for when it gets a little bit more tough, and let's say a Copa America knockout game, then fine, I'm all for it.
No, it's a good point. I think Pelistri. I think there are more people who like Pelistri, but they also recognize that he should not be a lock, like a lock in the starting lineup, and should be immediately there because, yeah, to a certain extent, he also has chosen to be in this situation at United. He could have gone. There have been a lot of opportunities for him to be gone, and he's not, for me, in my opinion, he's not being advised well by his agents, because he should have gone for a long time. Because even though there are some glimpses of hope, some good performances, he never gets a proper chance. And also, I don't believe he probably is not at that level yet for United to start game in, game out. Even though United is not at a great level now, he still is not at that level to play in the Premier League week in, week out. I think he should drop a level below, have a regular game time, develop, and that's better for him. And then maybe one day he could start for United. Who knows? But
it's what Valverde did.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. And by the way, the team news has just gone out.
Okay.
So it's what we expected, anyway. The alterations, taking the alterations in mind. So it's Drochet, Arajo, Cáceres, Oliveira, and Viña. So yeah, Josema out, and he's on the bench. So doesn't seem
to be injury.
No. And then it's Ugarte, Valverde, De La Cruz, Pelistri, Darwin Núñez, and Maxi Arajo. So pretty much unchanged. And Darwin with number 19. So that's. I mean, I think. I believe it's probably Darwin giving the number 9 shirt to Suarez. I don't think so.
It could be a marketing thing as well, right? Sponsorships and whatnot. When you're putting promotional stuff out there, Suarez with the 9, right? It's easier. But at the end of the day, it's just a number.
That's true. I mean, for me, it's not a big deal. But I would probably prefer Darwin to keep the 9 and Suarez have the 7 because of the. I mean, I like the 7 with Suarez because of the Liverpool thing, But it's the way
7. I think quick, skinny.
Yeah.
Rapid, not Suarez.
No, probably doesn't fit right now. But
I think there's an extra torta frita inside of him, but that is still got it.
No, it's true. But okay, let's have a look. Okay, Jorge Cepero. Hi, Jorge. Good to see you, by the way, on here. And I haven't spoken to you for a while on Twitter, but good to see you here and hope you're doing well. He says, "Hey guys, vamos la Celeste. It'll be the most difficult match Uruguay can have, but hopefully the players get a good result." And then another comment: Anthony can fuck up 100 times, and Tanaka will still favor him over Pelistri. He should leave United at this point for his career. Yeah, I think that's the conclusion we've all come to. He should leave United, because if he leaves United and finds a club which gives him a proper chance, there would be not much debate for him starting at right wing for Uruguay right now. But because he doesn't really play, he has to have this extremely high standard for Uruguay to keep starting. And to be honest, he hasn't had this standard in the last few games. When he came into the Alonso side, he was brilliant. He was, and he's also had some good games. I think he was quite decent against Chile. But overall, in this World Cup qualifying cycle, he's not been one of the standouts. Arajo has been, for example. De La Cruz has been, but Pelistri has not been. And it's true that without Ocampo is still recovering, or he played, by the way, today in a friendly. It's true that the right wing positions or right wing options aren't that great, but Canobio, for example, is one who probably deserves a chance as well. Yeah,
Canobio is just a solid pick in a game like this, where you're going to be on the back for at some point or some stretch of the game. That's why I put his name on the tee sheet on my team sheet on Twitter. But you made good points, and there was a gap for Pelistri with the whole Antony situation at Manchester United, and there was a stretch of games where he was given. He started against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. He started in the league. He started in a Premier League game as well, I believe. There was a stretch. And I watched those games carefully because I wanted to see what he did with that opportunity. And unfortunately, he did not do much with those opportunities. So it's a bit of both as well. Definitely a lot more, definitely a lot more on Ten Hag and United. But he was given a little bit of opportunity. And unfortunately, when he really needed to take it, he couldn't. But if I was his advisor, get the hell out of United as soon as possible.
No, it's a good point you make, by the way, because I watched this game, for example, the League Cup game, which was one of his big chances, and he didn't do well, really didn't. So we also have to be honest in that regard. Obviously we want to see Uruguayans play and do well, but we also have to be honest when a player doesn't live up to certain expectations. Okay. Facundo says, I want Suarez to get subbed in and make Cuti Romero lose his breath and make him get a red card. Yeah. I mean, Suarez super sub and maybe get a result for us. That would be an ideal scenario, dream scenario for everyone, But
this son of a bitch, I swear, this guy, it's in his life story that he would make his return to the Uruguay national team by being substituted when we're losing 1-0 in injury time and score a penalty, a free kick, a header off a corner, something like that. It's within the realm of possibility. You never know. Clip this if this happens, but we'll see.
Will be glorious. I mean, come on. But yeah, we will have to wait and find out. Uruguay doing the impossible is in our DNA. Yeah, and I think it is, but sometimes you have to be reminded of it as well, because in the last few years it hasn't been that present, and that's a shame. But yeah, hopefully Uruguay does seem to return on the right track right now.
When was our last upset? When was the last time this team went, wow? Okay.
I think it was. I mean, you 2011 probably. That's the thing,
Against Argentina or against anybody in general.
I think against Argentina 2011, but because if you look at the World Cup in 2014, I mean, yeah, Uruguay beat England, but that's not an upset, I mean, it would be an upset to go on and beat Brazil in the quarterfinals, for example. That would be an upset. 2018, Uruguay beating Portugal. Yeah, they were the reigning European champions, but I don't think it's an upset, because Uruguay, it's not. Beating France would be an upset probably, but Portugal we were probably well matched, when it came to the teams. So
well matched in the 2018 World Cup.
Yeah.
That one was more very even, like flip a coin who's going to go through. To the general fan who doesn't have as much immersion as us, it's definitely an upset. But the more you obviously know and love this game, you realize, no, of course Uruguay can definitely beat Portugal. But I think the upset, England in Brazil, and to lose to Costa Rica and then go beat England and Italy on the bounce, that is an upset. When I compare England's midfield to what we had, Arevalo Rios, Tata Gonzalez, you had Gerrard, Henderson coming off a phenomenal year with Liverpool, Lallana. Like, it just, for me, like, you're comparing like this and this.
No, that's true. But if we play that game, you can also look at the defense of England and the attack of Uruguay. It was also like Jagielka and Gary Cahill were playing there, and Gary Cahill once was a good center back, but at that point he wasn't that great anymore. But I get what you're saying. But for me, when I think of upsets, I think of, obviously you have 1950 Brazil, but you also have, for example, the 2011 Copa, which is probably more present in our minds right now. These are for me upsets. So for us to, for example, what an upset would be probably is to be in 2015 and to beat Chile. That would be an upset. But for me, you could argue with England, but it is true that the fact that we're arguing about whether it's an upset or not, we haven't seen a lot of them in the last few years.
I think we're overdue one, and I think next summer would be one really good time to cash in the check.
But absolutely. But by the way, I mean, for you it's brilliant because you are probably going to go to the game because it's in America, right?
I'm saving money as we speak.
But what I don't like is, I think the 2024 Copa, I think it was scheduled to be in Ecuador. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yes.
And I get that it's maybe logistically speaking, it's probably better to do it in the US, but I don't like it because I want to see this Copa Americas being played in Brazil, in Ecuador, in Chile, and it's not happening lately because I
don't think nobody has the capacity economically. And Ecuador is a country that has been met with a lot of political unrest and instability, especially this year with the recent elections. I study politics and policy, won't get into that, but it doesn't make sense for them to host the Copa America at all. Really, the only countries that could do it are Argentina and Brazil.
No, I understand it because I'm just looking at it now. 2016 United States, 2019 Brazil, 2021 Brazil, and 2024 United States.
Brazil will host it twice in a row?
Yeah, because I think it was planned in Argentina.
Yes.
But no, I get your points, by the way. I mean, obviously I do. But it's a shame anyway,
The tradition of cycling through the nations. Yes, I understand what you mean.
But let's see. Hopefully, I mean, we're probably maybe in the future it probably will happen again, obviously, but we will find out. Okay, the lineup is out. Josema bench. Yeah, it's true. Okay, Leo says, "What do you guys think Bielsa sees in Viña?" And we're talking about Matias right now, eh? No, but okay. No,
Not me. My last name is Vina, but no relation whatsoever with Matias Vina. Please do not
no, but
categorize that.
that's a puzzling one, because I don't really know. I mean, he's versatile. He's quite quick. He's a decent footballer, and I'm not talking about these things in theory. In theory, he is. We know he can do that, but when it comes to his performances on the field for Uruguay, certainly in the last 2-3 years, we haven't seen a lot of that. For example, the game against I think it was Ecuador, he was horrific, and he was really horrific. And so I'm not sure, For me, and Viña is now the left back position, but he's also been played the center back position. But when I look at the left back, I think, as someone who I like, but I know he's probably not being considered because of his age and because he is kind of more of this old style Uruguayan or South American left back. But it's Pacha Espino, it's Alfonso Espino, who although he's probably not, it's not, how do you say? He's not like in the Bielsa style. He's reliable when it comes to defensively, and he brings this energy on the left side, which he's just tireless, he will never let you down, basically like Nandes a little bit, but he's not being considered basically. So it's Piqueras, Viña, Oliveira, and Viña does seem to be integral in the plans of Bielsa. Yeah.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Okay, Franco Benecci says, would you start D'Arsketa maybe instead of Pellistri? Alessandro, what about you?
No, you actually mentioned on Twitter he doesn't have the characteristics to play right. The thing is with D'Arsketa, and maybe this is possibly a reason why he hasn't made that full transition to Europe yet, is that the way it's set up in Flamengo is for him to float, to him to not have to be tactically tied to a certain position. In this setup right now, in this national team, the way Bielsa wants to play, you are chess pieces on a board, and Bielsa is the player of the game, is moving you like a pawn. And D'Arsketa isn't the most tactically. He's more of a floater than he is sticking to a certain position. That's where at least you're going to be getting the best out of him. And the example of that is when he was floating all over the place against Ghana in the World Cup, when we beat them, and he scored 2 goals. And then was substituted off. That triggered me there thinking about that. But I watched those highlights the other day. I was at home. And I said,
why are you doing that to yourself?
No, I saw in the thing. I said, I haven't seen it since the day. It's been a year. Let's watch. I watched it, and then I got up, and my mom says to me, she said, what's wrong with you? Why are you so upset? I went to my dad and I said, Alonso is an idiot. And then we both started reacting to it as if the game happened 2 hours ago. It's just so funny how those things work. I mean, it's one of those decisions. Sorry, I'm going off track, but it's one of those decisions. Okay. Taking off Suarez against Ghana is a decision that is like the reverse of wine. The more time that goes away from that decision, the worse it gets. The worse. How could any coach in the world justify taking off a player like Luis Suarez in a game when you need a goal? Never will understand it.
Well, mind-boggling. And now you bring it up, I get these flashbacks,
I know. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. But that's okay. And on D'Arsketa, by the way, I do fully agree with you on this, because I think with Andre Tavares and Alonso, this left wing spot was open for D'Arsketa. We like D'Arsketa to be like this inverted winger, and then Oliveira being able to overlap. That was basically the dynamics between them two. But with Bielsa, he wants his wingers to be out wide and to be really quick and mobile, and he is not this. So he will not play instead of Pellistri or Rajo. What he could do, but what he's not going to do, because I believe De La Cruz has characteristics which Bielsa likes for this position, and that doesn't have him, is he could play at the center mid, left center mid, more attacking wise. But De La Cruz is a much more effective presser of the ball. He's much more mobile. He's much more aggressive,
tactically intelligent.
Yeah, and honestly, D'Arsketa is a better footballer for me, and can split open defenses better than De La Cruz. But when it comes to this player profile, and player profile is a really important thing for Bielsa, De La Cruz fits into this player profile much better than Darasqueta. And this is why the situation of Darasqueta is really difficult currently in the national team. But that's, I think, a discussion for another day.
You nailed it on the head when you said, tactically, you nailed it on the head when you talked about Bielsa's wingers being super tied to super wide. The width is so important. You don't see Araujo or Pelistri coming into the center, which is when Darasqueta used to play out wide under Tavares or Alonso. He would drift into the middle of the field.
No, it's true, and it's a shame, by the way, because Darasqueta's national team career could have been so much more than it has been,
Mm-hmm.
and one of his biggest moments was in this Ghana game. That's just pretty sums up his Uruguay career a little bit, But okay, what are your predictions? I think Alessandro, you went with 1-1 draw.
I said 1-1.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna join you with this one, 1-1. Yeah.
I mean, there's a small chance that Uruguay comes into this, tactically naive. Scaloni has it figured out, and Argentina just hit Uruguay on the counterattack, and it's like 4-1 Argentina, 3-1 Argentina. So there's also that opportunity as well. I don't rule that out, but hopefully for this team, if they get a good result from this game, then what confidence are you riding? You're riding with the highest confidence going into an easier stretch of games saying, hey, I just went through kind of hell in terms of a fixture list, and now we can really kind of like, okay, the monkey's off our back. It wasn't as bad as what we thought it was going to be initially, because nobody thought we'd be in this good of a position going in. And now we can play sort of the lesser games, more freely and really get accustomed to the system. But we'll see. 1-1 I'll stay with.
Yeah, and to be honest, to be fair to your prediction, you made your prediction before the news on the defense.
Yes, I did.
So, and myself as well. I'm now thinking of this. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 1-1, but it's obviously lowering Uruguay's chances because this is another settled backline in any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, but okay. What do we think about this? I'm gonna go through the comments a little bit quicker now because we have gone over the hour. Game is 50 minutes away. So yeah. But okay, what do we think about subs and the lineups out? Yeah, I think Pelistri for Conobio is a sub that's could happen for sure. I think De La Cruz for Carballo, maybe if we go on the defensive a little bit, if we trying to hang on. Suarez at one point coming on. I mean, Bielsa has shown not to be afraid to swap out Darwin Nunez, so that could happen. But we also could bring in a more mobile striker or a mobile forward like Kiko Oliveira, for example.
I don't want to I don't want to open up Twitter. If Oliveira gets on the field before Suarez tonight, I'm not opening Twitter.
But it's for me, that's one of the things. He likes him, obviously, but it's kind of laughable that he's in there. It's not fair on him as well because he's not ready for it, in my opinion. But okay. Leo says major upsets: Uruguay versus Argentina. Minor upsets: Uruguay versus Brazil 2016. Uruguay versus England and Italy 2014. Yeah, that's fair, I think. Yeah, and the Brazil one certainly. I mean, Uruguay should have won that game as well. That's the thing,
Alisson Becker is the reason Uruguay didn't win that game.
Yeah, I mean, one of the gilded chances of Suarez when he was basically in acres of space and he had the half volley and Alisson saved it. But yeah, and these by the way, these were games that really reminded what Uruguay was or are what Uruguay is. So that's yeah. And the thing is that 2016, 2014. Yeah, it's a long time ago already.
Uruguay, Argentina 2011 as well. People think, obviously, when you look back at that game in retrospect, you think, oh, Uruguay just parked the bus with 10 men. Argentina had 10. Mascherano got sent off. That was later in the game. But Uruguay still generated chances. Palito Pereira was bombing down the left side. Suarez was causing all sorts of trouble. There's a chance before extra time, I believe, in that game in 2011, the Copa America, where Suarez megs the defender, brings it over to the sideline, chips it into the path of Forlan. And if Forlan connects with that volley, it's in the back of the net. Uruguay win 2-1. So even that game as well wasn't just like a parking of the bus.
No, and that's a bit revisionist. Like some people like it like that, and then they look back and they trying to rewrite history, which in the way that it suits their agenda or their thoughts on a certain manager or a certain team. So yeah, that's always a shame when you see that happen. Okay, Ajay says, I thought Darsketa would be a more prominent figure for Uruguay after Qatar, but the guy is seriously struggling with fitness issues. He rarely finishes a full 90-minute match nowadays. Yeah, it's not a good point, obviously, on Darsketa. Yeah, I mean, we are quite unanimous in the sense that we all believe he's an excellent footballer who is probably up there with technically the top 3 footballers Uruguay have. But he is in some ways not. He doesn't suit the Uruguayan football, Uruguayan DNA that well. That's always been a problem. And now Uruguay having a more modern style or trying to be different, it could be a better fit. But yeah, he's still struggling by fitting into the Bielsa system. And also, like you said, he's not. He has been injury prone lately with Flamengo as well. So that's also a problem. Yeah. Jorge says, I think that in potential, Uruguay has a better midfield than Argentina. Valverde, Ugarte, and Bentancur at their best are better than Enzo, McAllister, and DePaul. Yeah, I mean, you can make an argument for that. I think I'm not sure about that one. I prefer Uruguay one, obviously, but there's an argument to be made for sure.
Enzo and McAllister, 2 phenomenal players.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're DePaul as well, by the way. Although DePaul is a player who probably. I mean, Enzo as well, but at Chelsea, he's had his struggles as well. But DePaul is someone who's been more inconsistent than the other 2. And but DePaul went on it, for example, at the World Cup, and certainly in the final few games, he is an absolutely terrific player. But I think in potential, like you say, Uruguay's midfield, yeah, you could argue it's a better midfield, and also more complete, by the way. So yeah, but that will be. I mean, obviously Bentancur's not starting, but the clash in midfield tonight is going to be fascinating as well. And Ugarte, who has been struggling a little bit for Paris Saint-Germain in the last few weeks, being dropped on 1 or 2 occasions. It's a big game for him. And I mean, I fully believe him, or fully back him, obviously, because we also have to realize he's 22 years of age. He's still a young player. And so yeah, that we have to take this into account as well.
Look at me, same age pretty much, and I'm out here and he's over there.
You're 22?
Wait, who is this? Is 23?
No, Ugarte, 22. Ugarte.
Oh, never mind. I thought you said 23. No, sorry. Oh, close.
No, it's also the same. Yeah, okay, but it's. I mean, at some age you have to stop these comparisons. I always used to do that when I played FIFA when I was 16, 17. But now, for example, you have to stop it because that's just crazy. Okay. Franco says, Bielsa not giving him minutes either. Scored 2 goals with Flamengo the other day. That's Keta you're talking about. Yeah, but I mean, we touched on it a little bit, why it's a difficult situation. 2021 Copa America was going to be played in Colombia, but there were political problems. Is it Colombia? I'm pretty sure it was Argentina. But maybe I'm wrong on that one. But okay.
Who knows? Same thing.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, but okay. No, that's always a problem, obviously. Yeah. Okay. Facundo Gonzalez says Viña isn't national team level, and Matias Viña, Federico Viña is also another one you could argue that he's not, but yeah, it's I do agree on what you want, by the way.
His starting position debatable, but his place in the squad, given Bielsa's tactical preferences, makes sense.
Yeah. Let's not get into this because we're gonna it's gonna be a long one otherwise. Okay, last Copa America in Uruguay was in 1995. Why so many years without one? Yeah, that's also one. Obviously, infrastructure of Uruguay to host this Copa is going to be difficult, I think. And why were they able to do it back then? Obviously, it was got a lot bigger, certainly when it comes to media coverage, fans accommodation, and stuff like that. So
go search up the highlights from 1995. You're going to see games in stadiums like Maldonado and all those, Colonia. Like it doesn't matter back then. Now you can only host in 2 stadiums in Uruguay. Yeah.
And I think the Copa Sudamericana final was hosted in at Punta del Este. I think I'm not sure what the stadium was, but that's a problem. Obviously, Uruguay have when it comes to you have the Gran Parque Central, you have the Estadio Campeón del Siglo, and the Centenario. These are the 3 stadiums that are
only 2 of those can really host an actual FIFA tournament
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. So that's a problem, obviously, and that's why if Uruguay is going to host it once again, it's probably going to be with Argentina.
Yeah.
But that when it comes to World Cup, I kind of understand. I don't like it, but I kind of understand when nations just when the nations do it together. But when it comes to the Copa, I don't really like it. It's quite special when you have it in, for example, in Colombia, or I think you even had it in Bolivia once, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, that's a unique opportunity for a country to get behind their team but
Why not just revert it back to what it was I think in the 70s, the late when Paraguay won the Copa America, for example, the tournament was hosted in all of South America. So each country hosted a game. I don't know. Maybe dudes. I mean.
Would you like that? Would you like that? I wouldn't, to be honest. But
I don't know. It's a possibility if you really want to keep it in South America. I mean, the difference between traveling from one side of the United States to the other can't be that different from traveling from, I don't know, one side of Venezuela to Chile, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Possible. I'm just spitballing.
Oh no, I get what you're saying. I mean, we have to look at alternatives if we want it to be in South American in South America instead of USA, for example. Okay. Emre Fox says, "Hello, brother. What do you think about Viña playing and not Josema? Just imagining Viña marking Messi gives me epilepsy." Yeah, yeah. I can understand what you're saying. I remember Gaston Silva in 2016, I think it was, marking Messi, and he did quite well, to be honest, back then. I think Uruguay was a goalless draw in the Centenario, but also we also lost 1-0 in Buenos Aires. But that was Argentina at a tragic low, by the way.
And there's another example: Argentina at a tragic low, and we decided to park the bus at home. Argentina at home.
But you have to say also Uruguay were just tragic back then as well, because
yes.
I remember we lost. I think it was 5 consecutive losses.
I think this was after the fracaso, the shameful 2016 Copa America.
Yeah, you were probably right. Yeah. Okay, Facundo says, sometimes I have flashbacks from Alonso and I get so mad like the game was yesterday. Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. Duarte, Luciano, Rodriguez, Pelistri, Ocampo, and Maxi Arajo are wingers that excite me. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. Uruguay do have young, talented players coming through who are exciting. But to put them into the limelight immediately, what like some people are advocating, it's a hard one as well, because we also have to realize, I'm not saying that you are, by the way, Danny, but for example, Luciano Rodriguez or Alvaro Rodriguez as well, people are calling or are calling for these players to be called up, but Alvaro is still playing in the third tier of Spanish football right now. And Luciano, although he's been doing better recently for Liverpool Montevideo, he's also had his struggles. But these players, for sure, one day could be, or I expect them to be big part of the Uruguay national team, for sure, especially Luciano Rodriguez, by the way, because I think he's really special. And we all saw that in Ecuador, was, I guess, the Sudamericano, or was Colombia, I don't know, but in the Sudamericano in a couple of months ago, or almost a year ago, by the way. So yeah,
I think it was Paraguay.
Oh, you could, yeah. I'm not sure anymore, but you're probably right. Then, yeah. But yeah, so okay, okay. Can we watch the game in English? How can we watch it? Well, I mean, this is a tough one, because I know that for certainly in the US and the broadcast rights, it's different to what it used to be. So people have to look for.
There's a streaming service. I forget the name of it, but it's a streaming service. They're shameless. They're charging like $20-$25 a month. You have to make it. I don't do that. Honestly, I find a stream online, especially when I'm at university. I don't have the channels like I do at home. When I'm at home, I have access to basically any international channel in the world through legal means, of course. Legal means, of course. I say that through legal means, of course. And what I do is I go to livesoccer.com, livesoccertv.com, one of those two. I type in, okay, Uruguay national team, click on the game. If you scroll to the bottom, there's a big chart or table that says international broadcast. It shows you every single country, from Ethiopia to New Zealand to Papua New Guinea, and it shows what channel is going to be showing the game in that country. So then I use that as sort of a base.
Yeah, I'm just looking up now what I normally the site I'm normally using. and this sometimes is a pain to look at or to get the right streams. But I'm gonna share it anyway in the chat because this is obviously. I mean, when people ask for it on Twitter, I'm a bit wary to share it because sometimes people have been suspended, and obviously with Elon in charge, it's different. Fortunately,
Freedom of speech.
Yeah, but it's just different, and they seem to be a lot more tolerant. But there's always, yeah, the chance of being suspended, and yeah,
Buff Streams is another website too if you want to look for it in English.
Yeah, no, so okay, good one, and there are plenty more, by the way. So I would advise you, and I can do this. I'm gonna probably get questions on it on Twitter again, and what I will do is I will make a quote tweet on it and ask people to share their streams, what they use, and then you can you for sure can find a stream which is good for you, and yeah, perhaps it will not be in English, but yeah, you can watch the game anyway, which is obviously what you want, I guess. So let's have a look into the final comments because I think we're gonna end it around the 90-minute mark. I mean, Alessandro, I think you want to prepare yourself as well mentally for the game and stuff like this.
I do. I have a test for school tomorrow morning.
Oh, you do? Jesus.
At 10 in the morning, and my friend and I, she's godsent. She's actually right now working on the notes because we're allowed to bring one content sheet to the exam. Okay. I said, I have such an important game. I have to watch 7 to 9, create the content sheet, whatever. I'll buy you coffee, whatever. And then after that's done, then we'll study for it. It sucks because even no matter what happens in this game, my studying afterwards is going to be affected in some way, shape, or form. But it is what it is.
That's a big challenge as well. But yeah. I mean, yeah, it's hopefully you've done your preparing in the last few days as well. That's not gonna,
of course.
But okay, Label says Brian Ocampo's back. Yeah, and that's brilliant news, by the way. I mean, it's not the headline news because Uruguay's playing, but I saw he was playing in the friendly coming on, and that's for me. He is one of these wingers, like Danny mentioned, which excite me and which are part, hopefully, of Bielsa's team. And I do think, by the way, he is one of Bielsa's. He's one player Bielsa will count on. Okay, Natalia Tavares says thoughts on Varela call-up. He hasn't played for a while now, mostly because of injury, but I just don't see him regularly featuring in this 2026 World Cup cycle. Yeah, I mean the Varela one. I know, Natalia, I've been with you on a podcast with Nathan on the Copa Club podcast. So appreciate you joining the stream and having his comment or putting his comment. But the thing with Varela is that he is like such an enigmatic player when it comes to this team because he had gone to 2 World Cups without really taking part in 2 World Cup qualifying cycles. And now he's back in there again, and he's not even playing. I think he's third option for the right back position of Flamengo. And yeah, like you said, partly down to injury, but also because he's not that great of a right back, and he's certainly not lived up to his potential. So
Varela gets lucky that Uruguay's weakest position is right back.
Yeah, for sure. No, and every time, and for example, you have your Mateo Ponte, you have now for Botafogo, who's not playing, not getting a kick, who showed so much promise in the under-20 team. You have Giovanni Gonzalez for Mallorca, who's also playing at centre back sometimes, but who probably was a better option as right back. But somehow Varela is there, so it's really a puzzling one. And for me,
I think he's quicker than Gio. I think, I don't know. That's just my guess.
Yeah, no, you're probably right on that one. But like you said, Natalia, is that he probably isn't going to feature regularly in the 2026 World Cup cycle, because Nandes is the one on right back for now, and Uruguay still have, like I said, Ponte, also Federico Pereira, who is an interesting one, who's still playing in Uruguay. But yeah, like Alessandro mentioned, the thing is that the right back position is such a difficult one for Uruguay that sometimes Varela will get back into the squad because there's simply not that many options. And even though he's not playing regularly, he still has a career which is respectable. Obviously, you know, he's played in Europe. He's playing for Flamengo, or he's not playing obviously, but he's in the squad. So yeah, it's a difficult one, and obviously it's a one that has caused a lot of debate. So yeah, we will see if he's even gonna play a part in this FIFA date. I don't
Probably
think he's
not.
going to, but yeah, we will find out. Okay, going into the last few comments, Leo says, "Do you think that Arwa?" This I cannot pronounce. Can you please try for me? Because I cannot
There
pronounce.
are. I'm not. No, you do it.
Okay, never mind.
I'll pronounce it when he gets called up.
Yeah, okay, Ignacio. We just use his first name. Will be called up. I don't think he is going to be called up. And this is another example of Bielsa having a player profile of his goalkeeper, and he's not fitting into this.
But this one you could argue, because then again, it's like, okay, what about the third goalkeeper, the third goalkeeping slot? You have your goalkeeper, you have the backup for when that goalkeeper's injured, and the third goalkeeper spot, which like you're never going to get to, like, it would have to be something dramatic, some extreme case where you lose two of your goalies in a World Cup or Copa America.
Yeah.
What about that third goalie spot? Does it really kill to have a penalty specialist in
No.
your squad, and you substitute him in a penalty shootout against Brazil, against Argentina, in like a quarterfinal or semifinal game? It's going to make a big difference, but I don't know. That's my opinion.
No, it's a good point. Really good point. Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why people argue for him to be in the squad, because he is one of the penalty specialists. He's proven it for Aruca in the Portuguese league last season. So yeah, but okay, it's what it is. I will once again.
There's like an update on the score. It's been 1 hour in Venezuela, and it's 0-0 Venezuela Ecuador. Very interesting.
Okay, yeah, and I think off air, Daniel was on the stream. I mean, if you've just joined, Daniel Solana, really passionate Uruguay fan, was on this stream at the start, first 25 minutes, and yeah, he said he was going for Venezuela to be in the playoff spot, and if they can get a result tonight, they will go up to 8 points after 5 games, which virtually puts them into second position on the table. So they've had a decent start. And Ecuador, yeah, I mean, they are one of they're still one of the new kids on the block, because although they did well last qualifying cycle, their squad is still really youthful, and like the likes of Kendry Páez coming through. People look at them to be one of these impressive sides next to Argentina, and certainly be up there in the top spots. So they will be looking to get a result there as well. So if they not get a result, it's I mean, the thing is, it's so wide open this qualifying cycle.
There should be the lock-ins. There should be lock-ins, in my opinion, are Argentina, obviously, Brazil, Uruguay, and Ecuador. On paper, based on the recent World Cup performance, based on squad talent, all that, like, I think those are the 4 locks. The rest, toss up. Venezuela, I could even imagine something where it surpasses.
No, but Brazil will be locked as well.
Brazil, no, I said those 4 are locks.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yes, those 4: Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Ecuador. Those 4 are the locks.
Yeah.
Yes. But then the rest is a toss. I could see Venezuela even coming 6 at this rate. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Paraguay have been very poor.
Yeah, and Colombia Colombia they did okay against Uruguay, obviously, but Colombia is also in a tough spot, and in a weird spot when you don't really know what you're gonna get. So yeah, okay. We will see how the qualifiers will develop, and after tonight and after Tuesday, we will have 6 match days, 6 games gone. So that's, I think, 1/3 of the qualifying campaign. So yeah, we will have a better look at where teams stand. And yeah, so I want to thank you all for joining today. Alessandro and myself will probably be back on the upcoming days, doing something on the preview for Bolivia, or maybe looking back at the Argentina game. We will be in contact on this, and hopefully you can be there once again as well. Appreciate for you all being here, listening or commenting. Really appreciate that, and it's been a really enjoyable stream once again. Hopefully, and it's only 30 minutes away. It's really, I mean, I'm gonna eat something, drink something, and then the kickoff is going to be there already. So hopefully we can have an enjoyable night, and we can see some promise, even though it might not be the result we want. We can have a performance that inspires us. So yeah, Alessandro, once again, as always, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
and the people who comment make it just as enjoyable as well. It's always so much fun to read and also interact, even outside the stream on Twitter too. I never was big on commenting on Twitter, replying on Twitter, but then this community comes along, and all of a sudden I'm always giving my thoughts, liking stuff, and having my say, and reading what other people have to say too, because it's very interesting. But we'll see with the game. Yeah, bring it on.
Yeah.
Clásico.
Oh, and best of luck with the test as well, man. I mean,
Thank you. By the way, this is a Clásico, not Chile, not Brazil.
No,
this is the Clásico.
Yeah. No, spot on. Yeah. So yeah, let's hope it lives up to the occasion. Okay.
Amazing. See you guys.